They just hit me right in the loins, and I will devour those stories for the rest of my life. Hi, my name is Mia, or miainmoments. You may know me from TikTok or Instagram, and today we're talking about all the books that I read in November. I'm a little bit late on this video, but that's because there's just been so much going on in my life, and I'm trying to get into the swing of things with YouTube, but it's been really hard. I don't have a camera yet, so I'm trying to film everything on my phone, and I keep running out of space, which has been a pain in the butt. And it's also really awkward still for me to be on camera, and I'm nervous about it. And I just want to make things perfect for you guys because I'm a perfectionist, but it's impossible to do things perfect. So I'm trying to accept that mentally, but this thinker is a difficult one. Today I'm actually filming a vlog, and I'm pausing that to bring to you guys my reading wrap up from November, which I know it's late. I do know that. But like I was saying, I have camera fright. So the fact that you're getting it at all, consider yourself lucky. That's what I'm saying. But yes, let's talk about some of the books that I read in November. What did I read in November? Sorry, let me pull up my notes because I feel like I read quite a few different books in November, but it's been so long that I forgot. And I've been already reading so many books in December. Like so far this month, I think I've read 3 or 4, and it's the 6th of December already. So yeah, I'm just binge reading lately. I know, so recently, I think in November, I finished rereading all of the Sarah J. Maas books that are currently out and published. So I know I definitely finished the last few in the series this month, and those were super fun. And I cannot pick a favorite, so please don't ask me, but I do think overall, Throne of Glass has my heart because it's the first one that I read. It's the first Sarah J. Maas series I knew existed. And then A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I really I'm connected to those characters. I listen to all those books on audiobook whenever I'm sad or feeling lonely because they just like feel like my besties. I don't have friends, so sometimes that's what I need. I started off the month by reading A Court of Mist and Fury. I think that's what it's called. A Court of Mist and Fury. I'll put it on the screen, and that is just a typical Sarah J. Maas book. It's the last book in like the trilogy of A Court of Thorns and Roses that follows Feyre and Rhys. So that one was just, of course, good. It was a reread. I've read it before. I'll read it again. I'll read it probably every year for the rest of my life, whether on audiobook or physical copy, just because I'm a sucker for Sarah J. Maas and her fae. But A Court of Mist and Fury was super good. It's not my favorite out of all her books, but I think it's better than that, like A Court of Frost and Starlight, A Court of Mist and Fury, whatever it is, that little like novella that she does for the in-between. It's better than the novella, but it's still not, it's not as good as the first two, although I don't think the first book in A Court of Thorns and Roses is very good. Maybe that series is just not my favorite of her. I don't think it's her best writing, but I'm obsessed with the story. I'm rambling. Sarah J. Maas just writes books that hit me right in the loins because like I cannot tell a lie. I'm just obsessed. I think that's what it is. Like the writing, pretty average, I won't lie to you, but they just hit me right in the loins, and I will devour those stories for the rest of my life. I honestly feel like I forgot most of the Sarah J. Maas books that I just reread because they're just like, they're that kind of book, but they're still good, okay? And this time, this reread, I read all the way to A Court of Silver and I read all the way to A Court of Silver Flames, which I haven't read before. That's her newest book in the series, and it follows Nesta and Cassian, the relationship that's just smut. But reading, I think it's A Court of Wings and Ruin or something like that. The last book following Feyre and Rhysand is when I completely lost respect for Rhysand. Like, he just is an asshole. And then in A Court of Silver Flames, he just like grows worse and worse. He lies to Feyre. I feel like Rhysand just becomes Tamlin. And I don't understand how he went so far backwards in his character development, or if I was just really young when I read them the first time and he was always really horrible. I mean, he did already lie to Feyre about the mating bond. I'm sorry, but this has spoilers about it because if you haven't read the first couple books, it's too late. Read them. And I just said that. Yeah, like how do you not know? There's spoilers abound in the wind everywhere. Yeah, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And then A Court of Silver Flames, I give a 4 out of 5 stars. I just think overall, all of Sarah J. Maas books, I will always give a 4 out of 5 stars. So that's the first 2 books I read. This has been chaotic, but I'm talking about all the Sarah J. Maas books right now. I will never start a video off as chaotic again, I promise. I can't make that promise, that's a lie. Alright, and then next up we have a book that I DNF'd. I did not finish it, and that's Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I don't think Leigh Bardugo and I are just, like, we're not soulmates, we're not bookmates. Like, her books just, they lack something for me. They lack, like, an emotional connection. I just can't build it with her characters, her worlds. I don't know what it is, but I got over 100 pages in and I just like couldn't do it anymore. I spent the first 100 pages of the book just confused and not sure why I should care about anything. So for me at that point, I just had to give up on it. I think it has a lot of potential, and I think if you like Leigh Bardugo, you should definitely read it because it has a lot of the aspects of her writing that people enjoy. It's just not something for me. Ixnay on the ninth house, say. Alright, so we had to move the camera a little bit, but like I was saying, I then decided to reread some Laini Taylor books because her Daughter of Smoke and Bone series is what originally got me like super invested in reading a lot of different fantasy when I was in like middle school, I think. That and the Twilight series were like some really big book series for me, and so I decided I was finally gonna do a reread and see if I still loved it as much. And besties, I hate to disappoint, but I have another DNF. I did not finish Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I couldn't even get past the first book. I got in about halfway and then I was like, this is for babies and I am not a baby anymore, so I cannot do this. It just seemed, it read like a middle grade, and I'm just grown now. I'm switching into from even a like young adult fantasy seems too young for me lately, so this just felt way too young. I think it's still a super fun story, has a lot of those like early 2000s fantasy cliches that you just like, everyone loved those, and I think a part of me will still always love those cliches. Enemies to lovers, star-crossed lovers, all that fun stuff. If you like angels and monsters and people having to like do the impossible to come together, then I think it's a fun series to read if you're just looking for something quick and young and not too serious. Because I was like, Daughter of Smoke and Bone is way too young for me, I decided I was going to read Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. And besties, this was another bad idea because I learned that I just don't like Laini Taylor's writing. I don't know why I'm speaking like this. I learned that I just don't like Laini Taylor's writing. Like, it's just not for me. It ain't it. I really like the quality of her writing, the poetry in it, how kind of whimsical and beautiful it is, but her stories yet again don't connect with me. I just can't seem to care or get invested. Strange the Dreamer is a book that I've tried to read 4 times now, including on audio, and again, it was one of those books where I was reading it, I was like, why should I care about this? I think it makes me, I'm like really frustrated that I can't like this book, that I don't like this book, because I know technically it would be such a good book and so many people love it, but I just like I don't love it. I don't. It's sitting on my bookshelf and I stare at it and I try. I've listened to the audiobook all the way through, and I've read the book all the way through once, and I can't remember anything that happened. So maybe Laini Taylor and Leigh Bardugo are just not for me moving forward, and that's fine. That's fine. They just write a ton of books and I wish I loved them. It's fine. I feel like I'm one of the weirdest readers where it's like, how do you like Sarah J Maas but you don't like Leigh Bardugo? I know. There's something weird about me. How do you like Sarah J Maas but you don't like Laini Taylor? Yet another weird thing. And I tried to remedy that with all these rereads, and I just can't do it. I don't love it. And then we have a book that I absolutely fell in love with that like saved the month for me, The Bone Shard Daughter. And this book just blew me away. I will put it somewhere on the screen like I did with the other books. The Bone Shard Daughter absolutely blew me away. It's a dark adult fantasy novel. I would definitely say it's new adult or adult. Very dark and twisted, and at times I was even like, ugh, this is a little gory for me. We follow Lynn, who is the daughter of the emperor, and she is kind of basically in competition with her foster brother as they're trying to work to see who's going to become the next emperor. And Lynn decides that her father is corrupt and he's not doing his job, so she'll have to go around him in order to become the emperor. So she has to learn bone shard magic, which is how to basically carve these little engravings into these bones. I'm trying not to give any spoilers because I've read the sequel already. So when you carve engravings into these bones and then you put them in dead flesh or the live flesh of these monster-like creatures that are stitched together from bits and pieces, and it animates them and gives you control over them. And they're using this to save the empire, or it has been used. This bone shard magic has been used to save the empire from the Alleghania or the Alleghania, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, who are this kind of race of water controlling immortals that have now been decimated by Lynn's royal family, and it's their job job to make sure that they never return. But the bone shard magic like is slowly killing the citizens, so it's leading to this civil war going on in their country, and we're seeing some perspectives of people involved in this civil war and this other side of magic. And then we see Lynn as she's trying to basically race the clock and learn all that she needs to in order to become the Empire and take over from her father. And basically everyone is working to save the Empire from all of this chaos that's coming upon it, and the characters are adorable. Mephi is definitely my favorite. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but that's how I've been pronouncing it. Definitely my favorite character. Jovis is a smuggler that we follow along his journey as he's rescuing children and going along this like crazy, magical, fun, definitely not fully legal adventure. And then we follow Falu, and there is a queer romance in this story, which makes me really happy as someone who's queer, because I feel like I never get to see queer romances in books or media in general, and I think this one really showed it as a normal, complex relationship. And I loved that in this world it was completely normal to be queer. There was none of that like homophobia or anything. It's completely normal to foster or adopt children and just marry whoever you want to be with, which is something I really loved, because I feel like so often in fantasy worlds people create the same society that we live in now, but this felt like a completely different society. The world building was really good. It was really fun, and yeah, it's definitely one of those first books that's really like grabbed me by the heart since I read Sarah J Maas's Throne of Glass series in like my freshman year of college, and now I'm 22, and this book series, I really think everyone should read it. Super good. And I was able to get an e-arc of the sequel on NetGalley, so I read that as soon as I finished the first one, and that will be coming up in my December kind of reading wrap up, because I finished that one in 2 days because I am a speed demon, a speed reader. Thank you for watching my rambly reading wrap up. I think it's just like so fun to ramble and talk about books. I'm so passionate about it, and I would love to hear what you guys read in the month of November. If you've read anything on my list, what your thoughts are about it, and what you might be reading in December. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye! I love you, besties!